60 Minutes Rewind.
Each year, as the anniversary of September 11th approaches, we remember the events of that awful day and honor its victims. Next spring at Ground Zero in New York City, one of the largest and most ambitious memorial museums in the world is scheduled to open its doors to do that permanently, the National September 11th Memorial Museum. It'll actually be located below ground, 7 stories down. It's a project that's been plagued by delays, funding battles, even a flood thanks to Hurricane Sandy. But if you can believe it, those things were the easy part. The bigger challenge, how do you convey the horror of 9/11 without making it unbearable? Memorialize a day most of us wish we could forget. Tonight we'll take you down below, as we first did last April, for an in-depth look at what our nation's 9/11 museum will be. Ground Zero, above ground, is today a place of rebuilding and remembrance. At its center is a serene memorial plaza with 2 giant cascading pools, twin voids set into the footprints where the towers of the World Trade Center once stood. Each pool is surrounded by names, 2,983 of them, plus some who didn't even have a name. It's quiet and powerful as people come, nearly 10 million so far, to touch and feel, and in some cases mourn fathers, sisters, children. But you won't find anything here about what actually happened on 9/11. Nothing about the buildings, the planes, nothing about the terrorists. All that will be the job of the museum and its director, Alice Greenwald.
We occupy literally the space below the Memorial Plaza, and it's the
So we're walking.
You're walking on the roof of the museum.
This is not Greenwald's first job on a project about a painful subject. She came here from the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C.
Just watch your step, Lesley. It is a construction site.
But at this construction site, the issues go far beyond where to put the walls. Virtually every decision here is fraught with meaning. As you descend past 2 50-ton beams recovered from the wreckage into a space
Welcome to Foundation Hall.
that takes your breath away. It's haunting and a little chilling knowing you're in the belly of Ground Zero, in the place where so many innocent people lost their lives.
So here we are. We're right where the buildings collapsed. We're in it.
Most museums are buildings that house artifacts. We're a museum in an artifact.
Where we are is almost sacred.
I think you become super conscious of where you're standing, and that's a powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing.
It's the authentic
It is sacred and hallowed space.
We spoke with 4 family members who are also members of the museum's board. Paula Grant Berry's husband, David, worked in Tower 2, as did Monica Eichen's husband, Michael. And Thula Katsamatidis' brother, John, was in Tower 1, and Tom Roger's daughter, Jean, was a flight attendant on American Airlines Flight 11.
The site radiates something for us all in a very special way.
That's where the final resting place of our loved ones is.
It has to be there.
It has to be there. Yes.
And you can feel it.
This is the remnant of the exterior structure that made up the Twin Towers.
One of Greenwald's first challenges in this hallowed space was deciding where the story of 9/11 should begin.
We begin with the voices of people from around the world,
I was driving to work.
remembering where they were when they heard about the attack.
Someone barged in and said, "Oh my God, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center."
The idea is to acknowledge that most visitors will bring their own memories of 9/11, which was witnessed within hours by people all across the globe.
Phone rang, woke me up. My business partner told me to turn on the television.
Greenwald says we are all survivors of 9/11, so it's fitting that visitors will descend to the main exhibits of the museum beside an enormous staircase, now encased in wood, that served as an escape route.
On 9/11, hundreds of people ran to safety down this stair.
The so-called survivor staircase is one of several artifacts so big the museum had to be built around them, like this fire engine lowered in through a hatch in the roof that will honor first responders, 441 of whom lost their lives. and the famous last column, the final massive remnant of the towers, to be removed from the site.
So there's no sound.
But we found that some of the most powerful things on display here
Okay, so that's Flight
Mary
11.
takes off from Boston.
807.
won't be physical artifacts at all.
Oh, look, the second plane.
A large projection on the wall will show the morning of 9/11 as it played out in the air,
Flight 11 is hijacked.
Oh, my God.
Meanwhile, Flight 77 leaves.
with the simultaneous flight paths of the 4 planes.
Look at that.
And now Flight 93 takes off.
Look, oh,
Impact has already happened in New York.
look at this.
And then Flight
This
93 is hijacked, turns around.
Among the agonizing decisions for the museum, should they include the voicemail messages left by passengers aboard those planes and other victims of 9/11 for their loved ones? One advisor told Greenwald to think of these recordings as a form of human remains.
What he said, and I've never forgotten it, is that sound can be a more emotional form of communication because you hear the timbre of the human voice.
Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked.
They plan to include a few recordings, seek permission from family members, and use them only with a purpose. This one from flight attendant Cece Lyles to her husband as a testament to the professionalism of the hijacked crews.
There's 3 guys, they've hijacked the plane. I'm trying to be calm.
She is so composed.
She's in flight attendant
She's
mode.
in flight attendant mode. And at the very end of the call, she says something like, I hope I see you again, baby.
I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye. End of message.
Oh, my goodness.
And of course, audio is just the beginning of the sensitive questions about what should be exhibited.
Let me ask you, what about some of the horrific shots, for example, of people jumping?
This is probably, as far as I'm concerned, the most sensitive question for this museum.
We went through a lot of debate internally about, do we show that side of the story?
On the morning of September 11th, Joe Daniels came out of the subway to the gruesome sight of bodies falling from the North Tower. Today, he is president of the 9/11 Memorial and Museum.
You never want to have to see that. Someone 100 stories up, 1,000 feet in the air, having to make that kind of choice. At the same time, there's a very strong feeling is that this was a part of the story, that a group of people from this group, Al-Qaeda, put innocent people in a position to have to do that.
When you think about what terrorism means, this really says it.
Absolutely. It's an impossible thing for a human being to do to another human being, and yet it became possible on 9/11. So for us not to acknowledge that would be to not be true to the story.
But how? With video of people falling or photographs? And what about the feelings of family members? Greenwald told us that she knows that some will never want to see an exhibit on this subject, but many argued strongly that it had to be there.
I have to say that we were also, I don't want to say accosted, that's a little strong, but, shaken by the lapels by family members who said, you have to tell the story. Don't whitewash this story. Tell it like it was. The world needs to know.
So we ultimately decided that we will include an exhibit, but do it in a way in an alcove where people will be clearly warned. If they don't want to see it or have their family see it, they can easily avoid it.
One exhibit they want everyone to see is what Greenwald calls the heart of this museum, a space devoted to honoring the victims' lives, with photographs of each of them lining the walls.
Those giant walls out there go all the way up. Every bit of space will be covered with faces.
Yes, the impression will be that you are surrounded by nearly 3,000 faces.
These are the photographs that will cover those walls.
Look at those faces. Look at all those faces.
They're ages 2.5 to 85 from over 90 countries, every sector of the economy, every possible ethnic group.
Visitors will be able to search these interactive tables and call up profiles of each person with photos and recorded remembrances by family members and friends, like this one by the father of Paul Aquaviva, who died in Tower 1.
He never had a bad word, literally.
to say about anybody. He always looked at the positive. You know, I know, to be honest with you, he didn't get it from me because I'm very critical at times. To me, that was one of the most important things about Paul.
Some of them are funny, some of them are sweet, and we're not telling you who they are. Their loved ones are telling you who they are.
Visitors can also search by birthplace or by company.
If I call up Cantor,
Cantor Fitzgerald was the company that lost more employees than any other.
658 people
Look at that.
who died on 9/11 at
From
Cantor
that
Fitzgerald.
one company.
One of the 658 was John Katzimatidis, Anthula's brother.
There's 4 of us growing up, George, John, myself, and Michael.
We were there the day she brought photos to contribute to John's profile to the museum's chief curator.
Well, that is just so cute.
I know.
What's it like to go through the photographs and choose?
I had an extremely difficult time doing that. Because, you know, you see him as a child growing up, you know, and then as a best man in all of his best friends' weddings, you know, so it's like, well, which one do you pick? Because you just are so sad that the pictures stop here.
Right. Family members all share the devastation of their loss, but the museum discovered that they are hardly a monolithic block.
It's the families of nearly 3,000 people. It's, you know, probably 10, 12,000 people, all of whom have their own perspectives, their own desires, their own ideas about what kind of museum should be here.
Was absolutely every single tiny little thing an argument?
There were lots of issues.
And
Lots
of issues.
Like whether to exhibit pictures of the perpetrators. And what about Osama bin Laden? Do they belong in the 9/11 museum?
Well, what was the argument for not showing Osama bin Laden?
That on this actual ground where the atrocity took place, this graveyard to some extent, how could you demean the memory of my loved one by showing the image of the person that murdered him?
But other family members took the opposite view, demanding accountability.
It was absolutely important to point fingers.
You have to tell the story.
You know, we had to
There was no
express
really-
who did this to our loved ones.
We don't want any child or adult or student to walk through this museum and not leave knowing who did this to us, which is why we're going to go ahead and show those images.
But the museum also wants people to know the stories of heroism and selflessness, the spirit of unity after the attacks. So there will be tributes here to recovery workers and volunteers. By the time this museum opens its doors next year, virtually no one under the age of 17 will have a first-hand memory of September 11th, 2001. For almost a quarter of the population, 9/11 will not be a searing memory. It'll be, well, something to learn about in a museum.
We are worried about the children who don't remember 9/11.
Yes.
And this is the way to tell exactly what happened to future generations so no one ever forgets.
Even the painful, maybe most particularly the painful.
Right. So we're not talking about a simple little happening, you know, we're talking about a brutal attack on our country, you know, where 3,000 people were innocent and they were murdered that day.